Hi, I'm Jen Kelly, the founder and one of the fractional chief marketing officers at New Initiatives Marketing.
And hi, I'm Nicole Crozier, and I'm a fractional CMO with New Initiatives Marketing. And today we are answering another Ask a Fractional CMO newsletter question. And this question is, how do we bring in more qualified leads? We get a lot of ebook downloads, but they're not converting on the sales calls. So Jen, this is a really interesting question, and it brings up a topic that I think is a big deal with B2B companies. And this topic is around what really is a marketing qualified lead versus a sales qualified lead. And what we see happening quite a bit at B2B companies is, they'll set up that process of having a lead magnet, an ebook download or something similar where someone enters their email address and then they get that ebook and then their email address and name goes into the CRM system. And what's supposed to happen on our end when we think about this from a strategic marketing perspective is that's just an initial point of contact. In our opinion, that's not the time to follow up with a sales call, but that's what's actually happening at the B2B companies. What's happening is at that initial stage, they'll have some sales reps, and as soon as that lead comes in, they'll jump on the phone and call the person up to see if they can convert them to a demo or some other type of sale. Do you see that happening, Jen?
Yeah, we see that happening for sure. So it could be a phone, it could be follow up by email, it could be follow up by chat. However, the sales rep is going to follow up. They follow up immediately, and really the signal is the person is just started to trust your company enough to take the next step and download some of the content in order
Mm-hmm.
to self-educate themselves.
Right.
Now is not the time to get them to buy right away. And that's probably what the problem is being. The action taken on the website to download the piece of content is being read as, okay, this person is ready to buy, when in actual
Mm-hmm.
fact, the person is ready and ready at the top of the funnel, going through, starting to self-educate, starting to
Right.
fulfill their research needs. So from our point of view, if you think about it that way, of course they're not ready to buy yet.
Mm-hmm.
That is why the sales team is having such a hard time closing because the signals are being read in a different way based on what the customer is doing or the potential client is doing, and then what sales obviously
Mm-hmm.
wishes would happen.
Right, exactly. And so what I think is happening on the B2B companies end is they're thinking that because the sales rep is not able to convert this initial lead, that it means that it's not a qualified lead in the first place. And when they're thinking that, what they're thinking is, oh, we're not attracting the right leads to the website. This ebook is not the right content, or something is wrong with the marketing piece. It's not attracting the right type of people. But what could actually really be going on is that you're just following up with them at the wrong stage. And if you follow up with someone at that initial stage, you're kind of annoying them. So what you could actually be doing is disrupting their process of moving through to becoming a sales qualified lead. You could actually be doing the company a disservice at that point. And so what we mean by a marketing qualified lead versus a sales qualified lead is that marketing qualified lead is kind of that initial contact. They've taken some sort of action on your website, they've downloaded an ebook, or they've looked at an ebook or something similar. But a number of other things have to happen in order for that lead to move through the qualification process and become a sales qualified lead. And in fact, that's what your website should be set up to do. It should be set up to mimic your customer's ideal journey so that they get all the information they need to want to book a sales demo with you, to want to talk to someone and learn more about how this can work in their organization. And if you don't provide that, or if you disrupt them right at the beginning and call them, then they don't get a chance to become that sales qualified lead.
That's a really good point. And in talking about they don't get the chance to,
Mm-hmm.
the buyers often move at a pace that is different from our sales team would ideally like them to. So yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
disruption of the pace that they are able to or willing to go through and self-educate is something that we have to be pretty respectful
Mhm.
of. So what would you say would be an answer? Like, how long should the sales team be waiting? Like, what should be happening for the sales team to know, okay, now's the time to follow up?
Right. So it's going to be a little bit different for every organization, but the most important thing to do is to get really clear on what a sales qualified lead really is for that organization. So really look at the customer journey, look at all the players that are involved, and then identify like what is the signal that this is a sales qualified lead. For many people, they want to take themselves through most of the sales process themselves these days. They don't want to talk to a sales rep early in the process. They want you to give them the information that they need to qualify themselves. They want to find it on your website. They want to be able to take themselves through even some initial demos on their own without having to contact you. And they want to, if they have a buying committee, they want to share it with their different team members, and they want to find the information that each of those committee and team members needs in order to vet your product or service themselves. And so often for a lot of B2B organizations, the signal that it's a sales qualified lead is when they've signed up for that sales demo with you.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. You did say a point about helping themselves through some of the sales
Mm-hmm.
demos. Is that sort of like a short form video that they can just watch, or what
Right.
would be an example of a demo that they could take themselves through that perhaps wasn't as tailored as the actual, sign up for a demo that the sales rep could take them through?
Right, right. So depending on the product or service that the company is offering, often that final demo that the salesperson takes them through is showing them how this product or service is going to be able to be customized and work for that unique organization. But there are other things that you can do earlier on in the process to help the buying committee vet the product themselves. And so you could have them sign up for a demo of your software product if that makes sense and would work for them. They could sign up for a trial version, for example. Or if that doesn't work, you could do a series of videos that walk them through how the software works. If you have an actual product, you could also do that in a video format as well.
Those are good examples.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So it doesn't, you really can help them move along. And then when they're ready for the questions, they can reach out.
Right, right. And and so I guess our big message for this question about, the qualified leads and the sales reps following up and them not converting, our main message would be to take a look at your buyer's journey. What are the steps that your ideal clients need to go through in order to become a sales qualified lead? What is the indication that they are a sales qualified lead? And don't disrupt them too early in the process. Following up when they've taken just one initial action is probably not the right time. You could be disrupting that process. And if you have junior
And
salespeople,
it's,
oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Oh, I was going to say, particularly as well, if your company or on the site, there's several different products or seven
Mm,
different types of services and products. Frequently, what we have seen is sometimes ebooks focus on the whole suite. And so to follow up on, say, in this specific example, just being really specific here, to follow up on the download of that one ebook,
mm,
it doesn't set the salesperson up very well either, because
right.
of everything that is talked about and discussed in that ebook. They're not really, there's been no indication about which product, service, or the whole thing is that potential lead interested in. So it makes it hard for them to have a good presentation, a good conversation there without, feeling like they're starting from scratch, looking around for what is it that you're interested in.
That is a huge challenge. There is a trend right now for B2B companies to want to follow up on that initial lead. And it actually can lead to a few other issues with your marketing. One is that if you're a B2B CEO and you're judging and evaluating your marketing team on those MQLs only, those initial ebook downloads, um, that's going to cause them to focus on those initial leads too much, and then rely on the sales team to close those leads initially. And so what you're missing out on is having your talented marketing people really do what they do best, and that's taking that initial lead from a marketing qualified lead all through the different steps in the marketing process to move them to a sales qualified lead. And so when they're kind of evaluated on that, it kind of switches their focus, and it can cause a lot of frustration. It's one of the reasons that a lot of really talented marketing people could leave organizations, because they're not really allowed to do what they know is the best thing to do marketing wise.
That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
And just to drill down a little bit, yeah, we've talked about this ebook.
Mm-hmm.
So in this kind of scenario, what would you suggest happen after the ebook? Would you suggest that there be more communication from the company? What would you suggest would be an ideal scenario?
Right. So the first ideal scenario would be you may have it via lead magnet, where you have someone fill in a form and then it's followed up with an email with the ebook, and maybe it flips to a landing page where there's a next step that they can take. In those cases, what most companies do is they then have a little lead nurture sequence, a series of emails that goes out that helps convert the person. People are saying these days that that may or may not be the best approach for B2B companies. Some B2B companies are now going with an approach where a lot of their content is ungated. They just make sure that all the right content to move people through the customer journey is clearly available on the website so that people can access it as they need to. And they take themselves through their own customer journey. And then the only gated content is them signing up for that sales demo. And so it would be the same thing, whether you're going with gated content or not. Make sure you have all those steps on your website for them to take themselves through. If you're going to do a lead nurture sequence, it would mimic what's on the website. It would be sending them the emails that give them the information you want them to go through every step in the way.
And just on that gating, just a couple of questions for you on that. There have been ways that potential leads skirt around the gated the gate
Yes.
by filling in, we work at ABC company,
Mm-hmm.
my email address is ABC123. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, there are ways that when a lead is not ready to talk to you, they're going to skirt around and not talk to you.
Exactly.
So make it easy and accommodating for them to get the education and
Right.
strengthen that relationship with your company.
Yeah, and that's the thing to keep in mind, is today's buyers really want to take themselves through their own sales process. Why not give them the ability to take themselves through your sales process? And don't disrupt them too early on in the process, because they might get annoyed and go on to that next competitor. Okay, so then for the question, how do we bring in more qualified leads? We get a lot of ebook downloads, but they're not converting on sales calls. In summary, our recommendation is to clearly identify what an MQL is, a marketing qualified lead, versus an SQL, a sales qualified lead. We recommend not interrupting your buyers early on in the process with a sales call, and instead wait for that lead to become qualified as a sales qualified lead before you follow up. And then we also recommend really looking at what the customer journey is for your ideal clients, and making sure you give them ways to take themselves through their own process on your website and make sure they have everything they need right there.